Hey BGG, I'm Katie Robinson Mays, and I'm the community manager at Compulsion Games and a longtime BGG member. Compulsion is honored to sponsor the 2024 BlackGirlGamers Online Summit. The team here is hard at work and excited to bring you more news about South of Midnight, where you'll explore the Deep South mythos and encounter folkloric mythical creatures as Hazel Flood. Until then, have a great summit, and we'll see you in 2025.
Shaking bones. I'm looking for a creature. Huge, sneaky. No?
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Black Girl Gamers Online Summit. My name is Victoria Brown. I'm the social media manager for Black Girl Gamers, and in this panel, we'll be going to the silver screen and back again. We'll explore the value that gaming and geekdom brings to the mainstream media, which not only influence TV and film, but brings the wider audience into the geekdom space. We have two superstars on the panel with us, and I cannot wait for you all to finally meet them. Woo! I'm excited. First up, let me introduce you to the one and only Laya DeLeon Hayes. You may know her for her role as Delilah in CBS The Equalizer, her lead role as Vicaria in The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster, the voice of Doc in Doc McStuffins, and the voice of Angrboda in God of War Ragnarok. This young lady has garnered an NAACP Image Award, not to mention being nominated 3 times, which is a big deal, okay? And she won the BAFTA Game Award in 2023. I know that's right. Joining her is the legend, Tongayi Chirisa. You may know him as Cheetor from Transformers Rise of the Beast, or for his work in Palm Springs, which set a Sundance record, by the way, or the movie Antebellum, starring alongside Janelle Monáe. But you will undoubtedly know him as the voice of the legendary African samurai Yasuke in the upcoming game Assassin's Creed Shadows by Ubisoft. So without further ado, let's bring these two icons to the stage. Hey y'all, welcome in.
Hello. Yeah, honestly, round of applause for you, Victoria, because that was beautiful.
Oh, I gotta hype my people up, period. It's nothing but melanin in this room. I love it. Okay, I am so excited to talk to you both today. To kick things off, let's start a little bit light.
Great. Yeah, I've been acting now since I was 8 or 9 years old. I think acting professionally since I was 9 years old. I got the acting bug in Texas, which is where I'm from. So I was raised there. I spent 6 years there. I got all my coaching, all those dance recitals, talent shows, all happened in Texas. And by the time I was maybe 8.5, I was doing a lot of commercial work and a lot of print work. And I was like, I want to be on TV. I kept telling my parents. And I had been trained really to do TV and film acting. But within my first 6 months, within my first 6 months of moving to LA, I got my first audition for a voiceover project. And I had no idea what that was. I was only 9 years old at the time. And then my second voiceover audition was Doc McStuffins. And that kind of set the course for not only my career, but also just the way that I look at acting in general. Again, thinking that film or TV was really the only realm that I could get into. And being 9 years old and then spending 6 years on Doc really showed me, one, that I don't have to put myself in a box or categorize myself. And 2, there's so many different realms that us actors can get into, which is very special. So I've just been enjoying the ride since then.
Okay, that's quite an introduction. I didn't know that regarding Doc McStuffins, which I know there's a lot of people who, especially with the kids, they really love it. But to be able to work into different industries in general and still doing what you love is really great. Okay, so
Thank you.
Let's move on to Tongayi. let's back it up real quick, because I do have another question for Leia before we go to Tongayi. So, with you having your experience with God of War Ragnarok, uh, how does acting compare to traditional on-screen acting, and what unique skills does it require?
You mean comparing to on-camera acting versus gaming?
Yes, absolutely.
I would say, there are a lot of differences. I think what does stay the same is definitely at least my approach to a character. Any type of prep that I would do for any character, whether it's in gaming, whether it's in the voiceover world, whether it's film or TV, um, a lot of that prep and care that's taken for these people that we're creating stays the same, and that doesn't really matter what realm of acting I get into. Uh, every character is treated with the same care. But then there's other things like on the technical side that I think are a bit different for sure. God of War Ragnarok was the first time I had ever done motion capture. Um, and the process, I think a lot of people know for any voiceover project or for gaming, it is a longer process than TV and even film sometimes. I think I started filming, I definitely auditioned for God of War in early 2019, and then we finished filming in 2021. And then by the time that the game came out, it was late 2022. So it was like maybe 3.5, 4 years until the game was able to be out and receive love from the public. But with TV, it's very much like a machine in many ways. Equalizer is my show. That's my baby girl right now.
Mm-hmm.
But we film really quickly. It can take maybe a month or two to get episodes out, depending on what our time frame is. Even with filming in person with God of War, we had a day of rehearsals and then maybe 2 days to film. That day of rehearsals you're not going to get, or I haven't gotten on a TV show set, especially if it's network. You get maybe 30 minutes or maybe an hour, depending on what the show or the project is. So there's definitely different comparisons in that regard with the amount of patience or the amount of time you have to collaborate with your director or producers. But other than that, I think the character work usually stays the same. The approach stays the same, just via the acting portion of it all.
That's a really interesting take. Just speaking to different people on like voice acting versus acting on screen it feels like it's two completely different worlds. You would say?
Yeah. I mean, in a lot of ways, because it's all your voice. In some ways, in which you'll have to exert, and even the amount of energy and stamina that you have to have. I think people underestimate just how much is needed and necessary for voiceover work. Um, you're really, sometimes you can be going through an entire arc of a character plus beating up a bunch of bad guys and grunting and climbing and screaming or charging at someone within 3 hours, and if you're fortunate enough to be able to record with all of your other co-stars and actors, that's wonderful. But if you don't, and if it's just on you, it's even more energy that you're exerting, and a lot of that can't be if you're not exerting the right energy, sometimes it's not going to be able to translate via microphone as it will on camera when people can see your face. So it's always important keeping your imagination and and teeth around so that you can let it translate.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. That's really interesting to think about. And speaking of with Tongayi, because you've done voice acting with gaming and TV, and you've acted on TV as well. Perspective compared to traditional versus voice acting.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Sorry about that. Some technical glitches. You know what's interesting for me is that I just recently got into the voiceover world, and I mean, to what Layla was saying is that it's just you're not aware of this instrument until you have to emote with this instrument. Whereas with television, you got your face, your facial expressions to help you with that. And with voiceover, you've got to convey the same type of emotions through your breathing, just how you say certain lines. So I think for me, that was a great experience in terms of learning rather, how you can say the same sentence, 5 different ways and still kind of like convey the same emotion. So it's been an amazing learning curve for me. I still feel like I'm a kid in this big store full of chocolate. I'm just like, give me whatever you got. And I think the beauty about being able to just really go back to when you're 5, 6 years old, when you used to. I'm from Zimbabwe. Okay. So, we played a lot outside, consistently. And so you had to find ways to keep yourself entertained. And, it's kind of like how I find doing motion capture voice work, especially with video games where you have to be, physical, and you really have like a pogo stick or some little stick as a weapon, and you got to envision what that looks like in the game scenario. So getting back to my childhood was just like it's a beautiful feeling, and I really do enjoy that space.
Okay. Now, because I love nostalgia. I love retro games, everything in between. When we're talking about gaming and geekdom more broadly, were niche passion they were pretty much niche passions up to a few years ago, because now there's like so many different IPs related to geekdom and gaming, specifically in the mainstream media. What do you think is fueling the trend of pop culture acceptance, and why hasn't it died down just yet? I would say it would be mainly nostalgia, but I wanted your perspective as actors and actresses.
Yeah, nostalgia is a good point. I guess I never really thought about that too much in terms of nostalgia and like how it's bringing people back to feeling like Tongayi was saying, like feeling like a kid. And I mean, that's also why we go to the movie theater. It's why we play games. It's why we enjoy entertainment. It's like you can remember the first thing that made you feel like you were a part of something bigger or part of a bigger story, then I think you tend to want that and attract that via the things that you're interested in, whether that be gaming or whether that be TV or film. But I also think with gaming and with voiceover, it allows fans and it allows people to immerse themselves within a story. Sometimes within TV and movies, or a lot of every time, it's only 2 hours that you get in a movie theater, 3 hours at most, probably. With TV shows, you get 30 minutes to an hour, hour and a half, depending on what the show is. What I thought was so interesting about God of War is one, it's like 40 hours, I think, if you were to like play it straight. And in the same way that other games are, where like the black format comes in and it becomes some type of story, people were also interested in that, because with God of War it was able to slide into gameplay but then also into the movie portion of the game as well.
Yes.
Yeah, but it allows fans and it allows people to feel even closer to these characters in a way that I don't think you're able to get in other forms of entertainment. I think that's what's been resonating with people who play the games and then end up watching the shows or the films. But also on top of that, people are waking up. When I say people, I mean like higher ups or producers or showrunners, whoever, directors. They're waking up to the fact that these stories are really important, are resonating for a reason.
Right.
And that because there's already a fandom, people want more of it. And what better way to generate more of it and make people feel more a part of the story is if you do a film adaptation or a TV adaptation. So it's gaming and the voiceover world is very special in that way, because the worlds and the lives of those characters can live on for, I think, way longer than some TV and film characters. Some.
Absolutely.
I would say I blame social media, and I think in a good way. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me explain myself. Hold up. Wait a minute. No, in the sense that you talk about nostalgia where people, it was a niche market and you had to go to specific places. Growing up, we had the arcades where you play, you go to a grocery store and you have to play that little thing to play Mortal Kombat or something. Now with social media, where TikTok, you have 3 seconds where somebody's like gives you a flashback of a TV show you used to watch or like a game, and something that would never have been in my periphery in terms of like, this is interesting. The power of, I think, social media has garnered a lot more people to kind of like put their eyes on certain IPs that they would never have 10, 15 years ago. And because of that, I think there's been an interest, especially when something becomes viral. Who's this, that Goku, when he gets mad and fire comes out? It's like, I wasn't a gamer, but I know about him. Now it's like, I'm keen to see what's happening. So I think in terms of the reason why it's come to the forefront is because of social media and how people have been able to make certain things go viral that people are now interested in, because you're getting a wave of people who are first timers to certain IPs, and they're immersing it. And I think that's why there's such a resurgence, especially when you watch like X-Men or this, that, and the other, these new cartoons coming up. It's like, that's the stuff I grew up watching, and now it's coming back. So I definitely think social media has played an important and significant part in bringing new eyes to IPs.
Both of you have brought up a lot of valid points, because we saw it happen with Sonic in real time with Sonic the Hedgehog. There was so many fan reactions and feedback that was taken into consideration regarding the process of the movie being made before it was ultimately released. But that makes me think a little bit more about the characters specifically in different forms of media within gaming and TV and film. So, as Black actors, can both of you talk a little bit more about your experience when it comes to looking specifically into roles that you're excited about, and then other times like having pushback when there's gaming characters that are more diverse in like cast within games, TV, or film? Like, how do you navigate that as a talent in this scenario as well? Because I'm pretty sure there's the good side and the bad side of just being a part of projects like that.
Yeah, you know what? It's such a broad conversation, and I think first and foremost, we come in as the people who get hired for these jobs, so we have no say as to what conversations were happening within studios and producers and the people who have the money, and so for whatever reason, I think that you find ourselves in situations or characters that may have been a different ethnicity at some point. Who knows what that conversation was, so I don't know if I have the liberty to speak on it, because I'm not in those rooms. But I will say, in regards to society today, like there's always that saying, you write and you write what's authentically real to you.
Right.
You write about your world, and I can get with that. But I think especially with IPs, where this is, I think the world that we're living in today, or IPs where it's an imaginary world, I think the onus comes down to the creators, who can now then think outside the box and just be like, hey, if it's a world somewhere in space, anybody can look like anyone. So having that mindset, I think that's the way forward in terms of being able to kind of like quell this conversation of, the color of your skin, going into a particular project. That's kind of like how I look at it.
Yeah.
That's valid points.
Yeah, even
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, completely. Like, very valid. It's reminded me, because I remember when God of War came out and there was a lot of discourse online just about Angrboda, my character being Black and being played by me. I am Black and Filipino, child. I am POC down. But at the same time, I remember looking at all those comments and just seeing a really dark and like nasty side of the internet. Or again, I think even though we've made a lot of progress in terms of where we are now, there's still so much more work that needs to be done too. And I can remember seeing those comments and thinking to myself, how can like a floating head that talks and is literally like a keychain on Kratos' body, and also if his best friends be a blue guy, fit into this world that's strictly mythology at the same time, but Black people can't fit into this world.
Right.
And I think it's more of a human issue. It's a way bigger and more it is. It's just a bigger issue as a whole, as opposed to just comparing it to a certain fandom or even the amount of control I have as an actor. But it does make me think of the control that I have and the types of projects and roles that I want to play. Because even though there was so much negative discourse when it came out, there was also so much positive discourse at the same time. There were so many Black women who reached out to me, people who cosplayed as Angrboda, ones that I met, or artists who drew pictures of her that showed me at the same time how necessary and how vital Black characters are within a space. Even when people say or people think that we don't belong in that space, we have to keep showing up no matter what.
Absolutely.
And that's what that process has showed me, is that even with the characters that I play in the future, and again, the privilege that comes with choice, I want to be able to choose characters that make people feel represented and are authentically shown, even if it's a part of a fictional or mythology, whatever type of world, that it shows that we belong there as well.
I love that so much. Because my next question was going to be like, as a community, is there anything that we can do to better support you all in these kind of situations? Because there is a good side and a bad side with literally everything. But I love the fact that there were people that reached out and was like, hey, like, regardless of the negativity, like, we still support you, we still love this character, and just doing both of you just doing a phenomenal job when it comes to your projects, just really inspiring in general. So is there anything we can do to better support you? Or like, I guess, I mean, there's a whole list of things, but I wanted your perspective on that.
Love trumps fear. So I think regardless of what the noise is outside, continue with the positive.
Okay. We are a little bit over. So before we go, I do want to provide everyone the opportunity to reintroduce yourself, tell us where we can find you regarding socials and any projects that both of you are working on. Because yeah, I'm already a huge fan from the past projects, so I look forward to see like where we'll be able to see you regarding games, film, TV, etc.
Amazing. Well, you can follow me on Instagram, which is at Laya DeLeon Hayes, just my name. And season 5 of The Equalizer, where I play Delilah, it will be premiering on October 20th, which I'm so very excited about. And also, just to end with that last question that you were saying as well, I think it's forums like this that are so important and so special. What you guys are doing, I just give you guys a lot of props, because I think it's wonderful, and I think the more eyes that we get on this is that's important. That does its job. That's spreading the love. So I thank you guys for having me today.
Oh, we're happy to have you. Oh goodness. Oh, y'all. Okay. I'm just so happy that we were able to speak to you both. Before we go, Tongayi, go ahead with your outro.
Instagram, Tongayi Chirisa, and X _ Tongayi Chirisa. And yeah, guys, thank you for having me. I'm glad that we met on set or at the Transformers premiere, because this is going to be a lifelong connection. So I'm excited to see the journey that we will have moving forward.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm so glad that I was able to speak to you both today. Please stay in contact. Thank you all for watching, and bye.
Deuces.
Thank you. Peace.